done during using a PowerPoint. And after that, we'll be doing a live demonstration to show you how the platform works in terms of submissions. Without further ado, let me start my sharings. And to save the bandwidth, let me just cut off the camera. And I would like to invite everyone to participate in this quick survey. It's anonymous, so let me start the survey now. Okay. Right. So you'll be able to see a screen with a QR code. I would like to invite everyone to take out your mobile phone. I hope your mobile phone is free to use. Take out your mobile phone and scan the QR code. Once you scan, you will be seeing the same screen here. It's you'll be seeing the same screen. And once you are on it, can you please, I think there's a thumbs up or heart on that screen. As we can see now, we have 39 participants at the bottom right corner, 43, 44. Well, this is also one way for me to know if you are listening. Now we have 100 participants. Let's see how many percent can we get in participating in this activity. So now we have half of it. On the following slides, you will occasionally see the QR code as well. It's the same QR code. So I put it there just in case someone else come in late. If you already scan it, you don't need to scan for the second time, for the third time, no need. All right. Okay, the next one. This is the first question. I'm asking for your response. As you can see, it's the same QR code. Please don't scan it. You will see the question on your phone. So please respond on your phone, right? Don't respond using the Google chat or whatsoever. Respond on your phone. We have now 68 participants. If you have not joined the game, you can still join by scan the QR code. I wonder what happens to the other 30 of us. Are you still online? Do you know what's happening? Do you want to participate? Right, now we have 70, 172. There's no code. You just scan the QR code. At the bottom left corner, do you see a black, white, squarish? Use your phone's camera to scan it. That's the QR code. Yeah, use the phone to scan. That's the QR code. All right, 74. We still have 25 missing person. All right, so let's not wait too much. So let's see. So these are the roles. Most of us are PhD and master. We do have undergraduate students who are attending, and of course, our faculties and librarians. Thank you so much. And yes, for our master PhD students, you are at the stage where you are required to publish, right? And that's why we are here. The next one is, what's your research area or research interest? Can you share a little bit about, what topics, what research domain are you working on? You're working on engineering, science, medicine, social sciences, and what specific subjects, if you can talk about it a little bit. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for your participation. While you are still typing, let's just quickly have a look. Analytical chemistry, animal nutrition, soil chemistry. There's quite a educational psychology, employee well-being, planet pathology, cloud computing, HCI, human-computer interaction, EE, supercapacitor, again, EE, agriculture business, environmental science, chemistry, engineering, public health, education, linguistics, agriculture, accounting, math science, wood industry, carbon pool. Carbon pool as of greenhouse and environmental science, pharmacology, bacterial disease statistics, diet, urbanization, human capitalization, okay, urban planning, chemical engineering, maths, energy storage, power and energy. Well, thank you so much for sharing. We do see a very diverse group of participants from almost all the major subjects the university is covering. And thank you so much for your, taking your time. The next one is about this thing called IEEE Explore Digital Library. So have you used it? Have you heard of it? How long have you been using it? Because for today, I'm coming from IEEE. We'll be talking about publishing with IEEE. This, IEEE Explore Digital Library is the platform where your published paper will be. So this is more to understand, have you used it? Have you heard of it? Heard of it, but have not used it. Okay, that's the majority of us. Okay, so if I can start today's session with the number one topic, although I haven't started sharing the PowerPoint, right? But I would like to address this because this is very important. Before we talk about publishing, I would highly recommend you to check out IEEE Explore Digital Library because that is where the published paper will be. That is where all the published paper from journals or conferences from IEEE will be indexed. And if I can use a very simple analogy, as I always use, publishing a paper is like passing your physics or mathematics or chemistry exam. And using IEEE Explore Digital Library, reading papers that are published and indexed in IEEE Explore Digital Library is like reading your math textbooks, reading your physics textbooks, reading the chemistry textbooks. So if a student asks the teacher like, sir, ma'am, I would like to know how I can excel in my physics exam. I will guess most likely the teacher's number one advice to the student is, have you read your textbook? Have you done your daily exercises? So read the papers that are already published. It's like reading your textbooks, do your daily exercise. Some of the commonly asked questions are, does IEEE publish my research subject? For example, for today, we have participants coming from chemistry, coming from education, coming from linguistics. I'm sure you are very curious to know, does IEEE publish paper in chemistry or linguistics? Well, the answer is with you because you know what subjects you are studying. Then all you need to do is come to IEEE Explore, just do a search. Linguistics, what part of linguistics, right? Different language or whatsoever. Well, you just use the keywords to do a search. Is there any papers that already published with IEEE? If there is, you have a chance. So number two question is, what is the quality level of IEEE publications? Again, the answer is in your hand. You just read the papers that are published in IEEE Explore. Then you try to assess, am I able to write a paper like this? Because one of the commonly asked questions, again, is, how do I get my papers published with IEEE? Well, the answer is try to do a mock exam, which is you try to ask yourself, can I write a paper? Can I do a research on this kind of research topic as these kind of levels as what those papers has done? Because those papers are papers that are already published. Definitely there's a reason why the editors and reviewers accepted them, isn't it? So the next question is about your previous publishing experience. Now we talk about your reading. Now is the question to ask about your publishing experience. Are you familiar with the paper structure? Have you published any conference paper or journal papers? And this is to any publishers, even if you're just publishing a paper within your universities. I know university also have some journals as well, or at regional conference, at a national conference or international conference or whatsoever. It's okay. I understand, especially for master and beginning PhD students, you may not have published, but it's, just let me know so that I can try to focus on certain things during my presentations, right? So as we can see, some of us publish both journal and conference. Some of us have not published yet. Some of us did publish with journal or conference. For those who have published both journal and conference, I'm sure you are familiar with the differences, right? Generally, the conference paper tends to be shorter. It's okay if the conference paper does not have the final findings. It's okay, but for journals, you need to provide the final findings. The next question is about, have you published with IEEE before? Again, it's the same QR code. You don't need to scan it. I'm just leaving there because we know, sometimes the participants who just joined. So for those who just joined, you can scan the QR code and participate in the survey. This is about your experience with IEEE. Some of us publish with journal or conference, but majority this is new. That's why we are here, right? To learn about IEEE publications. Okay, the next one is, have you heard of this thing called open access? I think our library, we dedicated this session to publishing in open access. But first thing first, have you heard of it? How are you familiar with this open accessing? What is your experience? Have you heard of it? The last one is I just put in there for a joke, but you can feel free to choose it. Like, what are we talking about, right? All right, so about half of us has participated. That's good. You have heard of it. It's about half and half, and have heard of it but not familiar. Well, it's good to know that no one has chosen the last one. So at least majority of us, we heard of open access, but it's just that how familiar we are with this concept. Okay, this is the most important question for today. I'm sure there's a reason you are joining. Some of us might be joining because you want to get a certificate, which is fine, But I'm sure majority of us are here for more important reasons. So I would like to know, what are the things you, as a student, as a researcher, you like to know from today's session? Please be specific. What do I mean by specific? Please do not just type in, I want to know how to publish with IEEE, because I don't have an answer for that. That's like someone asks you, can you tell me how to become a millionaire? Do you have a very precise answer to that? I don't think anyone has a precise answer to that. So be specific. The more specific your question is, the more specific, the more accurate answers you'll be getting. If you just ask how to get my paper published easily with IEEE, that's not specific either, because publishing with IEEE, or rather any publisher, is not an easy job, as we all know, right? Doing research is never easy. So please be specific. And I will leave this question to the last. And after my PowerPoint presentation, we'll go through this. Then we'll do the live demo. Now, let me stop sharing and I will start my PowerPoint presentation. I promise this part won't be too long, because the focus is more on the discussions and the live demonstrations. But we still need to cover some of the important aspects by using the going through the PowerPoint slides. So there's a lot of things to share, but based on the feedback in terms of participants' background, I'm not going to cover everything. As you notice, this manuscript preparation, I'm not going to spend too much time. The whole deck of slides will be shared with you after the session. But I will still encourage you to pay attention, because the slide is a slide. And my style of presentation is, generally, I will talk about things which is not covered in the slide. All right. So we'll start with the introduction to IEEE. I'm sure you are familiar with these names: Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell. They are the ones founded the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. So how this works is, although it's called institute, it's not actually a school or academic institution. It's more like a group of people. In this case, all are innovators, engineers. They meet regularly to share and discuss about the latest research, latest development, what kind of ideas you are having, what research initiatives or projects you are working on. So, and along the way, they need to communicate as the institute grows. And that's why they start to form this thing called letters, which is like an open publication they will distribute among all the AIEE members. And that's how the publication part of the AIEE started. That's like more than 140 years ago. 1912, another group of engineers, researchers, they founded the Institute of Radio Engineers. As you can guess from the name, the focus of this is about communications. And in 1963, these two merged to become the current IEEE, which is Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Now, again, a very common misunderstanding, people tend to judge the book by the cover. So for example, if I'm from medicine, I would say, well, this medicine is nothing to do with double E, right, or triple E. So do I need IEEE? Well, you'll be surprised. IEEE has, within IEEE, we have different societies. It's like different sub-branches working on different research topics. In IEEE, we have Engineering in Medicine and Biology Society. So this society is the world's largest professional membership organization when it comes to bioinformatics and biotechnology engineers. So IEEE does cover subjects much more than just electrical electronics. We pretty much covers the whole spectrum of science, technology, engineering, medicine, mathematics, as well as management. So of course, the focus is the technology and the engineering part. We publish different types of resources, but of course, for researchers, for authors, most likely you will spend time reading journals, writing conference papers. So our conference paper, we'll talk about it later, but for today, we are focusing on journals because open access is more oriented around the journals. IEEE journals rankings are very high. So if you get your paper published with IEEE journals, that means your quality is pretty good. Top ranking journals. And generally for publishing choices, we have two of them. One is journal, which is the focus of discussion for today. The difference between a journal paper and a conference paper is a journal paper requires the clear conclusion with final finding, which means you have a research proposal, you have your results, you have your problem solved. But for conference article, it can be written while your research is ongoing because a conference article will just present preliminary results of recent research work. And the idea is to gather informal feedbacks from the users and come back and continue working on it. So generally, a conference paper is shorter and with less details because the research is not over yet. As you can see from the difference, journal paper is more rigorous in terms of it covers the whole research cycle. And if you are talking about open access, this is more geared towards the journals. But IEEE do provide, we do provide both options, journals and conferences. So for journals, we recommend you to, for open access, we recommend you to check out the journals. But of course, you can also check out the conference if you want to participate in the conference publications. So open access, just now on the survey, I was asking, how are you familiar with this? It's about half and half, right? So before we talk about open access, let's look at the first row, which is traditional journal. Traditional journal is how the papers have been published by academians in the scientific communication sector for decades, for centuries, literally for centuries. I think starting from the 17th century. So how it works is the papers are published for free for authors, which means if you are an author, you don't need to pay any money to get your paper published. Let me repeat. Traditional journal, the author doesn't have to pay any money to get your paper published. But the readers have to pay or subscribe to view the published articles. For today, we are more focusing on the author side. So when I say that the author doesn't have to pay any money to get your paper published, author do have to pay something to get the paper published. That something the author has to pay is called the copyright of the paper. So imagine you are the author who has completed the research, who has written the paper. You want to publish a paper with a publisher as a traditional paper. You don't have to pay any dollars. But what you need to pay is the copyright of that paper that you have written about your research. The copyright of that paper is transferred to the publisher. So that if somebody else, let's say your friend or your colleagues from another university or in the same university, even in the same class, he wants to read your paper, he cannot get it from you because you no longer get the copyright. He has to pay or subscribe from the publisher as a reader to read your paper. So that is traditional journal. Open access is the other way around. So if you look at the last row, which is full open access journal, that means as an author, you keep your copyright. The copyright of the paper is still yours. If somebody asks you, hey, Alex, can I get a copy of the paper that you just published? My answer is sure. I can give it to you because I own the copyright. I can decide who can use it, who can have it. In fact, it should be openly accessible to all the readers around the internet. So that's the idea of open access. But because you are maintaining the copyright, the publisher has to get your paper published, isn't it? They have to spend a lot of manpower, resources to help you to typeset, edit, as well as index and hosting your paper on the internet. So what you need to pay is what we call the article processing charge. And this article processing charge only happens after the peer review period. Some people may be thinking, well, since I'm paying, why is my paper still rejected? I'm willing to pay. Why do you still reject my paper? Well, it doesn't work that way. Your paper will still go through the same peer review process, which means the editors and reviewers will look at the quality of the paper first. Then after your paper is accepted, then we talk about how you want to publish. Before that, nobody cares whether you are willing to pay. We are looking at the quality of the paper only. That's the full open access. The hybrid open access, which is the center one, as you can see, both are yes, which means as an author, you have a choice. You can decide after your paper is accepted whether you can publish traditional or whether you can publish open access. It's like your hybrid cars, right? You can decide to whether use battery or petrol. Now, one of the commonly asked questions is, how much does it cost to publish with IEEE? Let me repeat the question. How much does it cost to publish with IEEE? The answer is $0 if you choose to publish with traditional journal, because traditional journal doesn't charge you anything. It's $0. So the correct question to ask is, how much does it cost to publish with IEEE as open access article? Then we are talking about the article processing charge, right? So this table will tell you what journals publish open access or not. So they will tell you whether this is a full open access journal or hybrid open access journal. There's a hyperlink. Again, you can get it from the internet, which I will show you in the live demo as well. For more information, refer to this list and this website called open.ieee.org. Right, they will tell you the title, the ranking, eigenvector, or whatsoever. This is the overall author's journey. The center part before between the black dotted line to the red dotted line, this is the peer review period. After the peer review, the red color line, the red portion only happens if you choose to publish as open access. Then there will be APC charge. But if you decided I'm going to publish as traditional paper, then there's no APC cost, right? So for more information, it's open access, open.ieee.org, and we have a dedicated multidisciplinary journal, ieeeaccess.ieee.org. So for more information, please read. We have an FAQ for authors. For those of us who are not familiar, I mean, you heard of open access, you don't know, you're not quite familiar with how it works, please check out the FAQ from this website. Manuscript preparation, I'll just quickly run through the slides. I'm not going to read the slides for you, because if you have read the paper, which I trust almost everyone has done it, maybe except our undergraduate friends. Otherwise, you definitely have read some papers. Then it's the same. Title, abstracts, then followed by introduction, methodology, and results and discussion, conclusion, ending with references. Sometimes there's an acknowledgement section, sometimes there isn't, right? So each of these slides will represent what should be included in the title. Again, my recommendation is you don't need these slides. What you need is a lot of readings of IEEE Explore publications. Again, it goes back to the same analogy. If a student asks a teacher, how do I pass my physics exam? Generally, the teacher will ask the students, have you read your textbooks? How is your homework? For everyday homework, let's say out of 10 questions, how many can you get it right? If you can only get 1 out of 10 questions in your daily homework, the teacher most likely will tell you, don't worry about the exam. You have much more serious problem to worry about. Right, then of course the teacher will tell you, have you done the mid-year exam? Have you done the past year exam papers? So read the papers. Published in IEEE journals, then you will know whether you can do it. Again, a commonly asked question is, how do I publish a paper in this journal? How do I publish in that journal? How do I know what journals are suitable for me to publish? The answer is, again, in your hand, because you should read a lot of papers published by that targeted journal. Of course, everybody wants to publish in the top ranking journals. Everybody wants to, like, for me, when I was studying, I want to go to Harvard and MIT and Caltech. But by the time I finished my second year in the university, I was telling myself, Alex, you're not going to make it because your GPA is not good enough, right? So I need to find a more realistic university to continue my postgraduate studies. So it's, again, by reading the paper published by that journal, you will roughly have an idea of what kind of paper, what level of paper the journal is publishing. Then what we need to ask ourselves is, how is my research? How is my research topic, my research level comparing to those papers that are already published? Am I doing a much more innovative research idea or solving a much more groundbreaking, frontier-leading research domain comparing to those papers published? Or I'm just doing a much smaller scale research comparing to those papers? Then you can decide whether that's a good suit for you to publish, right? Again, title, abstracts. The only thing for me to highlight in the abstract is, given the system limit recommendation, we generally suggest your abstract should not be more than 250 words. Just one paragraph, less than 250. Anyway, most abstracts are around 200 words. The rest, the list of keywords, what should be used? Again, when you are reading the paper, do you read the keyword section? Have you ever thought about, if you are the author, will you choose the same set of keywords? Or will you add on more keywords or use less keywords? Then that practice, that exercise will give you more hands-on experience comparing to what I have listed here, right? Because these are more just for guidelines, etc. Introduction is explaining about the currently known information and to bring your readers from the historical context to your research hypothesis, to your research proposals. Then you explain the overview of the results, followed by a discussion of the research methods you use to solve the problem. And of course, the results portion is where you summarize the data. Again, don't just list all the numbers. It doesn't make any sense. You should use some sort of visualization, even if it's as simple as a more organized table. Now, I'm referring to a more organized table, which means at least you should categorize it or highlight some of the things in the table instead of just listing certain numbers. Experiment number 1, I have 10 data. Experiment number 2, I have 15 data. It doesn't tell the reader anything. What do you mean by these 25 data together? Right? Use a figure, table, task diagram, visualization tools to illustrate. And the purpose for that is because you need to interpret the results. What does the result say? What does the result mean? Does it, approve or validate your research hypothesis or methodologies? And what's the benefit of it? Does it show any improvement of accuracy or improvement of efficiency? Things like that. Because ultimately, you need to persuade your readers. And bear in mind, your readers include the reviewers, right? They need to be convinced that your research actually makes sense and hopefully make an important sense so that the paper can be accepted. Again, conclusion is about, well, wrap up. So in the introduction, you bring your hypothesis, you bring the historical context, the previous research done by other researchers, then your research hypothesis and proposals. Then in the conclusion, it's like an echo back to the introduction portion, which you explain to the readers again what the research has achieved. What does the results emphasize or illustrate or present? Any benefits, any future areas for research. So that's pretty much the whole paper. Of course, there's always a list of references. The list of reference, there should not be any limit. It can be long, it can be short, but bear in mind, you should only include references related to this paper only. Not all the papers that you have read. You may have read 100 papers, but not all the 100 papers are directly related or contributing to what you have written in the paper. Some of the paper you have read is for your understanding, for your learning, but your readers does not have to know because it doesn't relate to any part of what you have written in the paper. Bear in mind, every section of the paper, from the topic to the abstracts to the reference list, every section of it, it is written for your readers. It's not written for you. You don't need this paper to know what you have done. It's for your readers. So your readers will only need to know what you have written. They do not need to know the full list of paper for your background study. ORCID ID is very useful. It helps you to identify people with different names. It's something like your national ID or your passport number. It's like a globally recognized passport number in research domain. And when you are submitting your paper, we will ask you to submit your ORCID ID as well. All right, so live submission, we'll do a live demonstration. But before that, let me quickly go through the peer review process. After the paper is submitted, there is a pre-screening just to make sure the topic and format is what the journal is looking for. Again, the question is the review part. Once the paper is sent to the reviewers, normally 2 or more, usually it's 3 to 4, they will read the paper. They will give the comments to the editors. If they have questions to ask, they will also correspond with you, or rather the corresponding author of your paper. Most likely it's either you or your professor. The reviewers will ask questions and require responses from you guys. And then you provide the responses. The editors will then make the decisions based on all reviewers' feedback, whether it's accept, reject, or revisions required. For revisions, that major revision, minor revision. For major revision, sometimes it requires a second round of review. So most of the time is by the same group of reviewers. Occasionally, they may bring in additional reviewers for the paper which has been revised. But if it's a minor revision, generally it can be fast. Major revision is considered as another complete review cycle again. So that time might have to be taken into considerations for journals. If you are publishing with conferences, most likely the conference paper will just tell you accept or reject. Some of the big important conference, there will be some revisions, but majority of the conference, especially a smaller scale conference, it will be just accept or reject. Right. So what are the things editors and reviewers are looking for? I will categorize them into 2 categories. The first category is the number 1 point. The first point is the scope. it is not about whether your research is right or wrong. Most of the research submitted, most of the research that are submitted are definitely correct research. But the scope is simply looking at whether the level of the research, the quality of that research matches what the journal is looking for. So again, it goes back to what I have been repeating since the beginning. It's not about doing a right research. It's about finding an appropriate level of publications. Yes, you may aim for top ranking #1, #2 journals in the whole domain, but before we submit to that paper, we had to ask ourselves question: am I doing a top ranking #1, #2 level of research first? Then we talk about publishing to that journal. So how do we do that? Again, it's by law readings, right? You read the paper published by the journal and ask a very simple question, or rather the most difficult question, which is, am I able to do what these researchers have done? How is my research level comparing to those papers published? Well, if your answer is, with all those papers that are already published by this journal is too simple for me, my research is way beyond those research topics, then congratulations. You should aim for even higher, the #1 of the #1 kind of research, right? So that's about the scope. The rest of it, validity, data, clarity, compliance, novelty, this is more sorts of the questions you should ask at the beginning of your research. In the beginning, when you are designing your research, when you are selecting your research topic, you should ask yourself, is this research topic a novel idea? Is my research design complying to any compliance or regulatory requirement, right? Am I doing a well-designed or well-executed experiment or simulations? So these are the things that should be addressed and answered in the beginning of the research rather than at the end of the research. Then we ask ourselves, oh, so what are the things editors and reviewers are asking for? Oh, they're looking for a novelty. Then you try to convince yourself and hopefully the reviewer that you are doing a novel idea. That's too late because you already finished the research, right? You should do it at the very beginning of the research. Why the paper are rejected? Again, it's two categories. The first one is the same as the scope, which is just not in the scope of this publication. It's not appropriate level, appropriate coverage, appropriate importance of what this publication is covering. The rest of it is either to do with the research or with the writing of the paper. For example, if it's a research, have you completed the research? Is there conclusive results? And when it comes to the writing, maybe the paper is poorly written, the language, the structure, the figures is not well formatted, and the quality, the work of the research, which again is about the research itself. So these two slides literally are talking about the same thing. There are two major concerns, domains. The #1 is the level. The #2 is the research, right? So the next few slides basically briefly explains about the ethical research. #1, don't just copy and paste. Whatever is not ours, don't say it's mine because it's not true, right? We need to explain it to the readers that this is, I learned from other researchers. You should provide a proper citation. And #2 is you should always submit original research, original work that is done by you. Some of our researchers, we will publish a conference paper first, come back and develop into a journal paper. In that case, you need to inform the editors that this journal paper is a continuation of the previous published conference paper. And you need to explain, hopefully try to persuade the editors and reviewers that what are the new things that you have included in this journal paper. Now, by new, I'm not referring to, oh, I have added 2 new set of data. We're still working on the same research problem from the conference paper. I'm using the same research methodology that I use in the conference paper, but I just include 2 new set of data and develop into a journal. To the reviewers, that's not a new paper because there's no novelty. Remember, novelty, new ideas. Generally, when you are developing a conference paper into a journal paper, the research topic has to be altered somehow a little bit, right? A more specific domain, or more wider domain, or a cross-disciplinary, a multidisciplinary research as an extension from your conference paper. Methodology also need to be evolved to reflect that the changes or updates from your previous research. So that's very important, original research. And of course, if your paper is published somewhere else, please don't submit that. We will straight away just reject because that's not original research. For more information in the live demo, I will show you this website, which is IEEE Author Center. It has a lot of tools, IEEE Publication Recommender, Template Selector, which you can download the templates. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint now. I will bring you to the live demonstration of two parts. The first part is to show you how to publish a paper, how to submit a paper, not publish. Publish is a different story because I can't show you the peer review process, right? But I'm just going to show you the submission process if you want to submit a paper. So this is IEEE Explore homepage. We have crossed the 7 million line now. Again, let me address some of the commonly asked questions. One is, well, does IEEE publish papers, say, on linguistics or let's say medicine, right? You see, medicine, or rather, I'm going to use an asterisk to represent medical, medicine, and anything that has to do with medicine, medical, stuff, right? Just do a search. Then you'll be able to find whether IEEE published, wow, there's 167,000 publications on this. And of course, your research definitely is a specific domain within medicine, right? So for example, let's say you are doing wearable devices. You can do a keyword. As you can see, wearable devices, wearable sensor, wearable monitoring, wearable data, anything that has to do with wearable, just add on. So this allows you to zoom in to a smaller set of data. And let's see how many results we are getting. As you can see, this is a more specific set of numbers, 6,700, right? Plus. The next question I'm going to ask myself is, am I going to submit to a journal or conference? Let's say journals. Click on apply. There's 2,000 papers published on journals on these topics. As you can see, if I'm not satisfied, let's say I'm not going to be interested in wearable devices. Instead, I'm going to be interested in, say, sensors, right? So I just click on the cross, wearable. I will remove the keyword. Then I will just add on sensor, or rather, again, use an asterisk, sensor, sensitivity, sensing, sensory, any of the keywords. The asterisk as a wildcard. We search. Then I'll be getting a different set of results. As you can see, this is a much larger set of numbers, even if I'm referring to journals only. I can keep adding on additional keywords. Let's say I'm interested in things that has to do with artificial intelligence, right? Or AI. Just keep adding on additional keywords. You'll be getting less and less, which means more specific results, 1,800. Then the next thing I want to know is what journals are publishing these papers, publication title, right? So these are the titles that publish on this paper. So these are the top journals, published papers on these topics. So now you have your list of candidates because they already published paper on my research topic. The next question is which one? Well, you have to be the one that decide which one. How do you do it? You need to do a lot of readings. For example, this medical imaging, if your research is related to this, my recommendation is please do not judge by the name of the journal. For example, let's say your research has nothing to do with imaging part. So you think, oh, this one is only talking about medical imaging. I'm not going to read this journal. No, That is very, very wrong, because the journal itself covers a much wider range that's related to medical sciences engineering itself. So what you should do is you click on apply. Now you're only limiting in to about 400 papers, which is published in this journal, right? Then you don't need to read all the 400 of them. You can use a different sorting option, sort by relevance, newest, most cited by paper, or most popular. Then you can also use this thing called publication topics. This will tell you the more frequently used keywords these 400 papers are covering. Let's say wearable devices. Right, so it looks like there's no wearable devices, but how about sensor? There is sensory data, sensory noise. So some of these keywords are also included in this. That's why this publication topics can be also useful for you to further zoom in. Let's say support vector machine. This is a AI topic, right? You can use this as another filter to zoom in to, if your research is related to SVM, support vector machine. So then you only need to read these 27 papers. By reading these papers will give you an idea the level of research, the topics of research this journal is publishing. Then what you need to do is ask yourself, am I able to do what this researcher have done? If your answer is, well, I'm doing a much more innovative, much more groundbreaking and important idea than these papers, this journal is a good choice because it covers your level of research. Submission is straightforward. Just click on the title of the journal, which will bring you to the journal's homepage. It has all the information about the journal impact factor, eigenfactor, and there's a direct submit manuscript button here. Just click on it. This button, submit manuscript. You can read more about submission guideline, publishing, OA publishing options, and aim and scope of the journal, the current issues of the paper, about journals and everything. Then once you click on this hyperlink, it gives you the website for IEEE author portal. If you don't have a website account, create an account. If you have an account, just sign in, and you will be logged into this journal. So let me just log in. And I will be logged into the IEEE author portal. Sorry. Let me stop. Let me try again. So this is the journal's homepage. All you have to do is click on submit manuscript and log in. It will bring you to this website, which is IEEE author portal. You can start a submission here, IEEE transactions on medical imaging. If you click on start submission, all you have to do is follow the step-by-step guide. Upload manuscript, select article type, upload manuscript, key in the title, type out the abstracts, indicate who is the author, author affiliation, author details, match organization information, and everything, right? So if I can show you an example, I have some draft submissions here just for illustration. This is one of the papers submitted to IEEE Internet of Things. I will resume the submission. As you can see on the right-hand side, the same step-by-step guide. If you have completed each step, there's a tick over, there's a cross. There are two important things here. One is on the author details page. You have to make sure your name, your email address, like in this case, your email should be upm.edu.my, right? And in here, you should key in the oh, okay. I'm just being lazy. I'll just copy the full name here. You should key in UPM here, University Putra Malaysia, right? Key in the full name. and you move on to the confirm page. What happens next is you will see this thing called match organization. This is very important. The matching organization is very important because, as you can see here, under affiliation, it says it's not matched because you need to choose the best match from the list. You should choose the one from the list. Only include your university name. Please do not include your department name, your research center, research group. Don't do that. Just the university, the full Bahasa name, and that will tell you the correct one. Right? We're not from the hospital. We're not from the radiology. Just select the university name. Then click confirm. These two are very important. Use your university email address. It's very important. Make sure you type your university name correctly. And when it comes to matching organizations, please be careful. Match your university names. That will ensure that after your paper is accepted, the system will know that you are from UPM so that you can enjoy the discount for APC for IEEE Open Access Publishing. In 2026, the discount for APC for UPM researcher and students is 20% from the listed price. So what's the 20%? I'll bring you to this website. This is IEEE Open. The URL is open.ieee.org. For more information about the author benefit, article processing charges, this will list down the OA publication charges for authors. And it will tell you the different categories, right? So for full open access journal is 2,160. So for you, you pay 80% of this times 0.8. For IEEE Access, is the same price. Again, you times 0.8. Hybrid Journal 2008, again, times 0.8 because you are getting a 20% discount. For authors, we recommend you to check out the author workflow. This is a video explaining to you about the submitting manuscript and everything, as well as the additional resources, which explains to you the FAQ page. Under the publishing options, we have the title list. This is where you can download and you can find out whether the journal is a full open access journal or not. Like these journals that are full open access. And if you scroll down these magazines, reviews, these are hybrid open access, right? Most of the journals and the transactions, IEEE transactions, they're all hybrid. They will also tell you the ranking of the journal, whether it's in Q1, Q2, or Q3, as well as the impact factor, eigenfactor, article influence score, and all those indicators. Sorry, it's this one. Yeah, this is the table, right? Full open access. And they also tell you like these journals, they are hybrid open access. And they will also tell you whether it's Q1, Q2, etc. The last page I would like to share is IEEE Author Center. I just do a Google search. It has all the information you need about writing, about peer review, about publication. We also have video tutorials. You can also download template. Just do a search on template, book article template, right? We have this thing called IEEE Template Selector. If you click on it, it brings you to a website which you can select the template to download, depending on whether you are some publishing with journal or conferences. Journal or conference. If I select journal, just select the top topic. The title of the journal, right? And as you can see, they're looking for original research and brief. Original novelty is very important. Your format, Word, and just download. That's it. You will be able to download the templates. And of course, the IEEE Author Center has much more. So for example, for journal authors, you can learn more about creating your article. We have authoring tools and templates, checklists, and creating an article, creating the graphics, publications. And we also have this thing called publication recommender. Right. Tools for IEEE authors, publication recommender. The first one is the one, if you select it, it brings you to this website. It will tell you what journals publish in topics, let's say artificial intelligence. In this particular topic, and you can get recommendation. Artificial intelligence. Well, this paper, sorry, there is 225 journal published articles related to AI. So which one? It still goes back to your choice, isn't it? So that's why if you are looking for journals to publish, I would recommend you to do what we have done earlier, using the searchings and the readings. This will give you a sense of the level, the quality, and the scope of the journal, rather than using this publication recommender. Because the number of recommendations is too many, because AI is such a broad topic. But this publication recommender is useful on one thing, which is it will give you an estimated timeline of submission to publication time based on historical data. Let me repeat, based on historical data. Your mileage may vary. These numbers are just based on previous data, most likely from last year. So you should not use this as a reference and ask your editor, say like, well, on the website, you tell me it's 20 weeks. Why now it's taking me 30 weeks? It doesn't work that way because different papers varies. But this is just more based on historical data, historical numbers, just for your references only. All right, so that's the last thing I'd like to share. Before I end that, let me share this tab. These are the questions that you ask. Again, most your questions are too generic. How to publish, IEEE discount, which is quite specific, which I answered. How much? How much? Learn new APC process. We talk about the process. There's no such thing as easily, because generally, if a journal publish paper easily, that's not a good journal. It's the same as a university. If anyone can apply to study in a university, I don't think that's a good university, right? So how long does it take to publish? I think I shared about the publication recommender. It has some historical data based on previous papers. Your mileage may vary. Is it indexed? Yes, it's all the IEEE journals are indexed in Scopus and Web of Science. How much is the cost? We talk about that. You can find the details in the IEEE Open website. Transactions, yeah. IEEE journals and transactions literally are the same thing. Does discount apply? How much is transactions? Okay, there's comparing publishing in transactions versus open access is like comparing Honda and hybrid. Like comparing a Honda car and a hybrid car. You don't compare it like that. You compare a Honda car to a Toyota car to a Ford car, and you compare a hybrid car to a diesel car, right? So that's how you categorize them. I think what you are trying to, I'm guessing what you are trying to ask is, how much harder is it to publish in traditional versus open access? There is no comparison in terms of hard to publish. If you ask IEEE, especially the transactions, as I was telling you, most of the transactions nowadays, they are all hybrid, so which means you have a choice to publish traditional versus open access. And it's the same. Your paper will go through the same peer review process. It will still be sort of reviewed as the same as all the papers. The reviewers, they don't know how you want to publish your paper. So there's no comparison of, it's harder to publish in open access or traditional. But if you are comparing different journals, obviously they make sense. If you are comparing publishing a #1 top ranking or Q1 journals, obviously it's harder comparing to a Q3 journals, right? I hope that addressed that question. We pretty much answers most of these questions, I guess. Discount, we talk about the discount. We don't have so-called guidelines or methodologies. This is more aligned to the research. IEEE doesn't have a guideline for research. We only have templates for the papers because the guidelines for the research is depending on the research itself. Right, I want to APC. Okay, that's a good question. Is IEEE a database like Web of Science? How do I find out the journals under IEEE? All you have to do is visit IEEE Explore homepage. The best person to answer this question is actually your librarians. And of course, I can spend another 30 minutes to talk about this, but I don't think I want to take that much of the time. We did some sharings on this question earlier. Sorry, on this Explore sharings earlier. So if you're interested in the future, we can organize some set discussions on this as well. So, okay. Sorry. Let me come back to this. I think we are pretty much at the end of the whole thing. This is the one about publishing open access. Okay. These are all answers. Which IEEE journal supports open access? Again, this is listed in the IEEE website, IEEE Access website. How does the special APC discount work? Make sure when you are submitting to an open access journal, you write your name, email address correctly. You write your university email address, your university name correctly. You pretty much are all set, right? Does open access affect peer review indexing? The answer is no, it doesn't. It doesn't. The reviewer doesn't care whether you're publishing open access or traditional. They will just review your paper as a research paper. They don't put labels. They don't have favors. They just look at the research quality, whether it matches what this journal is looking for. Not the indexing either. All IEEE journals are all indexed in all the major indexing databases. Again, we talk about converting. It's not a converting, it's developing a conference paper into a journal. Just adding some data sets is not considered as developing a conference paper. Your research topic, your research methodology, that are the two parts that the reviewers will looking at. What is the difference between a conference paper and a journal paper? Right? If you're just adding two sets of data, then it doesn't make any sense. It's just having more, numbers to prove it. It's like if let's say in your research topic you are proposing addition, then you prove that 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, 3 plus 9 is equal to 12. Then in your journal paper you added 2 new additions. You indicating 11 plus 12 is equal to 23. You're still talking about addition. There's nothing new. Unless you are developing the addition into multiplications, right? 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Then this is a different story. That's what we call developing. Adding new data is not considered as developing. LaTeX format. I'm sure Google will be able to provide much better answer than me. You need to learn typesetting in LaTeX, which is the important format that is used in IEEE, that is used for technical settings. IEEE transactions, we recommend LaTeX, but most of the time we also provide the Word templates as well. Okay, I think all the questions are addressed. So let me stop now and open for any floor discussions if there's any. I'm seeing a lot of AI transcriptions. I don't know what that's for, but if there's any further questions, please feel free to unmute yourself to ask or just type out the questions in the Google chat window. All right, I will stop here.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. My name is Michael Onwa. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. My question is, if one has, in the course of filling the form for submission, when you fill your email, your name, and name of institution, assuming one has two institutions, is it allowed to fill the two institutions in there? Did you get me?
Sorry, I don't get your question. Can
I
you
said,
repeat?
I said, when about to submit, you got to fill some forms, your name, your email, the name of institution, and all that. So what if one has two institutions? Is it allowed to
Oh,
fill?
yeah.
Okay.
You can fill in two institutions, but we recommend you to, let me see, match organization. Right. So, but you need to fill, so-called make the UPM as the first
Okay.
institution, right? Then they will, match your so-called APC discount. I hope that answers the question.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. There's another question: is IEEE membership needed? The answer is no. You don't need an IEEE membership to publish the paper. IEEE journals are open for submission and publication by anyone, right? Key your student name. Yeah, at the time of submission. Okay, at the time of submission to any journal, whether it's IEEE or any publisher, you definitely need to key in your personal details, your name, your email address, your institution. But in order for you to enjoy the APC discount, if you are publishing in open access, then you need to use your institutional email. If you do not want to enjoy the discount, you are free to use your Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, or whatsoever. We are not able to, it's just that we are not able to catch that you are coming from UPM. But if you want to enjoy the discount for APC, for open access, we recommend you to key in your UPM email address. I think it's your student email. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? If there's no question, I'll pass the mic to our librarians, and maybe we can see if there's any other agenda on the schedule. In paper itself, we use the personal Gmail address. I would recommend you to use the same email address because it will cause confusion if there's any further or future communications between the authors, the corresponding authors, the reviewers, as well as the editorial team. Having a consistency will be more important. Yeah. But of course, this is just a recommendation. If you insist you want to use your personal email in the paper itself, that is your choice. But it will cause a lot of troubles. You may have missed emails, communications. It may affect your peer review or publication, or even in the future. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Shawid Abdullahi Kobi. I'm from UTM. I have two questions to ask. One, regarding the discount. Is it only UPM students have the chance to enjoy the discount? That's one. Two, if somebody used his institution email and later, after he must have graduated, he want to use his own, I think it's better for him to start using his personal email because he know definitely he will graduate and leave the institution. Thank you.
The first question is, it depends on the university you are coming from. Are you from UTM, University Technology Malaysia?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I think for UTM, they are also getting the same discount, but I would advise you to check with your university library. You just send an email, ask, as a student from UTM, am I enjoying the APC discount from IEEE Open Access journals. They will be able to provide the most precise answer, right? Number two, can the students use the personal email? Again, I think this is a continuation of the other question the students was asking. In the paper, you can use your personal Gmail address, but if I were you, I will leave 2 email addresses in the paper, as using the UPM as the primary one, using the Gmail as the second one, so that I can ensure at least during the submission, peer review, publication process, I'm all communicating using my official university email address. But in the future, let's say 5 years, 10 years later, I'm back to my country, I'm doing my own studies. If some readers wants to contact me regarding this paper, at least my Gmail is still contactable.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
next one is if our journal can be claimed, how do we change the billing address to it? You don't need to claim it. You need to, the process of how it works is once the paper is accepted, the system will recognize, oh, sir or ma'am, you are coming from UPM, you enjoy a 20% discount. You have to pay first. Then the claiming process, you have to check with your university or university library or your own research department or your fund providers. That's different from the publication process. That's your internal process. The billing address is you have to pay. So we don't care the system does not track like what billing address you as a student or researcher, you yourself is using. You just need to pay, then you claim after that. For the internal process, please check with the library or the universities or your research department. All right, I hope that answers the question. Yeah, okay, if you are a student, then please check out with your professors or research PI, principal investigators. They then generally have a guideline of how it works internally. That's an internal process, so please don't quote me because I'm different groups, research groups have different practices. Yeah, thank you. All right. If there's no question, I'll pass the mic to our librarians. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alex, for the very interesting and informative presentation. And before we wrap up today's webinar, let us create a lasting memory by taking a virtual group photo. We kindly request that everyone to turn on your cameras and if possible to share your brightest smile. We will take a few moments to ensure that everyone is ready.
While we are waiting, I think I'll just address one question. Please, why not our student email should continue to function after our graduation? That's a very good question. Many, many years ago, if you can still bear with me, at the time when I was discussing, when I was studying and graduating, we also raised the same question. Of course, in my university. So what happens is that at that time, the IT team doesn't have the capacity to do it. So maybe you can feedback to your university, I don't know, computer center or IT to see if they can continue the email. As a student, I totally agree. Having an official email from the university that you have studied really means a lot. It tells I'm from here and I'm still here, right? So, yeah.
Okay, we will take a picture in 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, another one, 3, 2, smile. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. Lastly, we would appreciate your cooperation in completing the attendance and evaluation form in the chat box. The digital certificate of participation will be sent to the email address provided in the form. And thank you all for joining today's webinar. I hope that you found the discussion as interesting as I did. And a big thank you to our speaker, Mr. Alex Liu, for sharing valuable knowledge with us. Your knowledge has truly enhanced our understanding about how to publish open access with IEEE Special APC Discount Program. We also appreciate the engagement from our participants. Your questions and active involvement made this session lively and interactive. Once again, thank you all for your time and participation. We wish you success in using what you have learned today. Stay safe and take care. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Puan.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.